Okay, quick answer to a question. This is just a short video. I was asked the other night, patient said, I have lost great weight with the MGB. I've gained a little bit back. I'd be interested in a revision, but I know you're traveling now and I'm interested in the costs. And I wonder, quote, should I have my MGB converted to a RNY? So I thought I'd give you my opinion. Again, it's good to go talk to RNY surgeons, get their opinion. I think it'll be different than one I'm going to give. And but I'll tell you my experience, my patients' experiences, and then this will just be a short video. So I'll just tell you, should you ever convert an MGB to a RNY? Never. How often should you do it? Never. When should you do it? Never. Is it ever appropriate? Never. Maybe once in a while? No, never. Let's talk about the reasons for having a reoperation. This happens for all kinds of bariatric surgery. We can have a complication, bowel obstruction, bleeding ulcer. You could lose too much weight and get too thin. You could lose too little weight and want to lose more. So all these reasons you could consider having another operation, or you might be forced to because of the complication. And for all these, you could consider different operations after your first bariatric surgery. So for example, lap band failure, we routinely offer MGB, so lap band to MGB. Sleeve failure, we routinely offer sleeve to MGB. If you have a failed RNY, some surgeons will go back and trim the proximal, the little stomach. Some people put a band around the little stomach. Some people will go to the connection where the stomach and the RNY limb go together and they'll tighten it up. Some people will take the RU limb, which usually dilates over time, and they'll trim it. And that's called re-sleeving the RU limb. And my bias is that from what I have read and seen, talking to patients who've been through that, who come to me afterwards, it's not a really effective treatment. Again, just my opinion. And you know, I'm biased because I like the MGB. But I'm giving you my opinion because I was asked. You could lose too much weight. Now, the band, the sleeve, and the RNY rarely cause excess weight loss. You know, they're just not that powerful. And again, my opinion, I just say my opinion. I'm not going to do this anymore, but the rest of this is my opinion. But let me say it again. Band, sleeve, and RNY, not that powerful. They have a high failure rate. The data shows that sleeve is pretty good. In my study with Dr. Kular in India, it works really well for 2 or 3 years, and it begins to fail. As I've traveled around the world, what I found is sleeve surgeons who have done sleeves for a couple of years really love it. Patients not so much because they have nausea, vomiting, also have weight regain and acid reflux. And by 5 years, the surgeon and the patients are frequently kind of showing they're pretty disappointed. So weight regain is common, a problem for all kinds of surgery. If you have a failed band or failed sleeve, converting to MGB works pretty well, but there are some tricks to it. If you take my advice, go to a surgeon who has only done sleeves and is just going to do his first MGB, because they probably don't understand some of the details, which is that in short, your basal metabolic rate, I think, changes when you fail the sleeve and the band, and so the bypass limb length, how much you bypass, has to change, and we can talk about that in more detail in another video. So you could have a revision because you have an ulcer. You could have bleeding, okay? And so for all these reasons, you could need a revision, and I'm not going to talk about the other operations anymore. Let's just talk about the MGB and what could happen. Let's suppose you have an ulcer. I do not think you should be converted to a RNY. I think you should take apart the connection between the MGB loop of bowel and the stomach and put the stomach back together with the stomach. We know that ulcers from RNYs and ulcers from MGB are the same, so converting it to a RNY, in my opinion, is a bad idea, and I've seen it be a bad idea, so I don't recommend it. I've seen a really sad set of circumstances where people get too thin from the MGB and the surgeon converts them to a RNY. So again, MGB is very powerful. MGB is a weight loss surgery. It causes so much weight loss in some people that they get too thin and malnourished, and then I have seen, sadly, a surgeon say, well, I have this patient who's too thin from weight loss surgery, I think I'll perform a weight loss surgery. Let me say this again. So I have patients of mine they get too thin after surgery. They don't call me initially. Sometimes they're sick suddenly and they go to a doctor. The doctor says, you're too thin from the MGB. The MGB is the problem. You're malnourished. You've lost too much weight from weight loss surgery. I'll do another weight loss surgery. This has led to death in several cases because you don't do a malnourished restriction procedure on somebody who's malnourished with restriction. Again, it's much more complex to do an MGB to Roux-en-Y conversion. It's very easy to convert MGB back to the stomach, and it can take 20 or 30 minutes, and we'll put some links to that on this video so you can watch revision of MGB. It's easy, it's 20 or 30 minutes. So if you get too thin from an MGB, convert the MGB not to a Roux-en-Y, just my opinion. Okay? How about if you don't lose enough? Well, we've got about 10 or 20 patients out of my 6,000 that I know about. There might be more, so I might be wrong. But what we found is every single conversion of MGB to Roux-en-Y has led to failed additional weight loss and often routinely weight gain. And in several of those, I've actually taken them back and taken apart the Roux-en-Y and gone back to the MGB, and they got weight loss again. I don't do that very often because it's dangerous and expensive, and the patients are usually pretty unhappy. But I recommend that if you have any problems with the MGB, no matter what it is, in my opinion, never should it be converted to a Roux-en-Y. And so that's a quick answer to that topic. A lot more complexity. We could do a lot more detail if we wanted to talk to a surgeon who wants more information about this. There's a lot of details and tricks and traps. But basically, if you're a patient asks me for my advice, quickly, simply, I would say I would never convert an MGB to a Roux-en-Y. If it's for excess weight loss, I would not convert to a Roux-en-Y because you don't need a weight loss surgery if you've lost too much weight. And if you lost too little weight from the MGB, adding a Roux-en-Y has never led to additional weight loss. And the complex detail physiology to explain that is the MGB is a combined restrictive and malabsorptive procedure. The Roux-en-Y is primarily restrictive, and so you lose the malabsorptive component by converting to Roux-en-Y, and routinely those patients actually gain weight. So that's a little complex if you're a patient. If you're a surgeon and you want more detail on that, we can do another video. But the short answer to this question from I got on Facebook from Miss JT, shout out to JT, is I would never recommend conversion of MGB to Roux-en-Y. Thanks. And we'll go on to the next couple of videos, so stay tuned.